Look, I don't know who needs to hear this today, but I need you to lock in. I need you to stop for a second, breathe, and hear me with your soul, not just your ears. Focus on yourself. Everything is energy. You hear what I'm saying? Everything. You out here trying to fix everything around you, your job, your friends, your family, your relationship, but you forgot the core. You forgot you. You forgot that the most powerful project you'll ever work on is yourself. Stop giving all your energy to things that don't give energy back. Stop feeding distractions. Stop pouring into people who don't pour back, and stop trying to be everything to everyone when you haven't even been everything to yourself.
Listen to me, you are a generator, not a garbage can. You generate power. You create light. You hold energy. You don't need to go out there looking for peace, for strength, for validation. It's already in you, but the problem is you're spending your energy in the wrong direction.
You're scrolling through social media, watching everybody else shine, comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel, and every time you do that, you leak energy. Every time you doubt yourself, you leak energy. Every time you let someone else's opinion define your worth, you leak energy. You wonder why you're tired all the time? You wonder why you feel stuck? It ain't because you're not talented. It ain't because you're not chosen. It's because your energy is everywhere except where it needs to be, on you. Let me break it down real simple. Where focus goes, energy flows. If your focus is on chaos, you're feeding chaos. If your focus is on the haters, you're feeding the haters. If your focus is on fear, guess what? You're energizing fear. But if you wake up and make the decision, the commitment to focus on you, everything changes. Start small if you have to. Wake up early. Meditate. Read. Go to the gym. Write your goals down. Speak life over yourself. Cut out the noise. Protect your peace like it's your last breath. Because that energy, that's your currency. Spend it wisely. And don't get it twisted. This ain't selfish. This is survival. You cannot pour into others from an empty cup. You can't lead anybody if you can't lead yourself. So do the work. Heal, grow, grind, build, reflect, reboot. Because when you focus on yourself, mind, body, and spirit, you raise your frequency. You elevate your life. And when you elevate your life, you attract better people, better opportunities, better outcomes. That's the law of energy. What you are is what you draw in. Every single day, you wake up with a limited amount of energy. It's not infinite. It's not something you can waste and expect more to magically appear. From the moment you open your eyes, decisions start pulling at you. People start demanding your attention. Distractions come knocking. But here's the truth. Your energy will always flow in the direction of your focus. Whatever you focus on is what you give life to. It's what grows. That's why it's not just important, it's critical to understand the power of your focus. Most people don't realize it, but their lives are not controlled by circumstances. They're controlled by where their focus is. The energy they give to certain thoughts, certain people, and certain environments either builds them up or breaks them down. You can have all the talent in the world, all the potential, all the opportunities, but if your focus is scattered, your energy will be too. And when your energy is scattered, your life starts to feel chaotic, unfulfilled, unbalanced. And that's not because you're cursed or unlucky or behind. It's simply because your focus is in the wrong place. When you focus on problems, you feed problems. When you focus on fear, you energize fear. When you focus on failure, you give failure more power than it deserves. But when you focus on growth, on gratitude, on discipline, on becoming a better version of yourself, that's exactly what starts to happen. You begin to grow, you begin to rise, you begin to evolve. There are people out there right now living in frustration, wondering why nothing in their life is changing, yet every day they wake up and pour their energy into complaining, into gossip, into worrying about things they can't control, into scrolling through other people's lives, comparing and feeling small. But that's the trap. That's the trick of the world, to distract you so you lose your focus. Because the second you lose your focus, your power slips right out of your hands. You need to understand your focus is your fuel. It's what powers your actions, your choices, your habits. You can either use that focus to move you closer to the life you want, or you can waste it on things that steal your joy and keep you stuck. And yes, it takes discipline to control your focus. It takes effort to keep your mind centered on your goals when life is trying to pull you in every direction. But the ones who win, the ones who grow, the ones who build something meaningful, they are the ones who master their focus. It doesn't mean you won't get distracted sometimes. It doesn't mean negative thoughts won't creep in. But it means you have to make the choice to redirect. When your mind starts drifting to doubt, pull it back to belief. When your energy starts leaking toward negativity, reroute it toward purpose. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control where your focus goes. And that control is what separates average from excellent, ordinary from extraordinary. Ask yourself, what are you feeding with your focus? What are you giving life to? Are you building your future or just reacting to your past? Are you fueling your goals or feeding your fears? Every moment is a chance to choose. Every minute is a test of where you're willing to place your energy. Don't keep spending your energy on things that don't bring you peace, that don't build your character, that don't align with your purpose. You're not meant to be drained every day. You're not meant to feel stuck. That's not the life you were built for. You were built to move forward, but forward motion only comes when your focus is locked in. You want peace? Focus on what brings you peace. You want progress? Focus on taking steps, not standing still. You want power? Then stop giving your energy to weakness. Start giving your energy to discipline, to growth, to courage. Because all that you desire, all that you dream of, is waiting on the other side of focus. So today, reclaim your focus. Shut out the noise. Block out the distractions. Put your energy where it matters most, on your goals, on your growth, on your mindset, on your future. Make it a daily discipline. Make it a non-negotiable, because the truth is simple. Where your focus goes, your energy flows, and your energy is the key to creating the life you were destined to live. So don't waste it. Don't give it away to things that don't deserve it. Protect it, channel it, honor it. Everything is energy, and when you control your focus, you control everything. Your energy is your most valuable currency. It's more valuable than money, more important than time, because without energy, you can't use your time effectively and you can't build anything meaningful. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every decision you make costs energy. And just like money, if you don't manage it, you'll go bankrupt. That's why it's not just smart, it's necessary to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't realize it, but some of the reasons you feel drained, tired, anxious, or unmotivated have nothing to do with your goals and everything to do with what you've allowed into your space. Who are you giving your energy to? Who are you letting speak into your life? What environments are you constantly walking into that rob you of peace and leave you feeling like you've been hit by a storm? You've got to start asking these questions seriously, because if you don't take inventory of what's draining you, you'll never build the life that energizes you. There are people in your life right now who only come around when they need something. They bring drama, gossip, negativity, and expect you to be their emotional punching bag. And maybe you've allowed it because you didn't want to seem rude or because you have a good heart, but having a good heart doesn't mean you let people trample on your peace. Being kind doesn't mean being available 24/7 to people who don't value you. You've got to stop being emotionally accessible to people who aren't spiritually aligned with your future. Energy is transferable. You sit around people who complain all day, you're going to start feeling the weight of their problems. You spend time in environments full of chaos, sooner or later, your mind starts mimicking the noise. That's why you have to set boundaries, not because you're better than anyone, but because you're building something, and you can't build while constantly being pulled in different directions by people who don't even know where they're going. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is say no. No to invitations that don't align with your purpose. No to conversations that lower your vibration. No to situations that make you feel small, unseen, or drained. You're not being selfish. You're being wise. You're not rejecting people. You're protecting your progress. You can't keep pouring into everyone else while you're running on empty. You've got goals, dreams, and responsibilities. And every ounce of energy wasted on something meaningless is energy taken away from something meaningful. Protecting your energy means you choose your battles. It means you walk away from arguments that don't serve your peace. It means you turn off the news sometimes, log off social media, and give yourself space to breathe, think, and grow. And don't get it twisted. Energy protection isn't just about people. It's about the way you talk to yourself. Are you your biggest cheerleader or your worst critic? Because if your internal dialogue is negative, if your thoughts are constantly tearing you down, it doesn't matter how peaceful your environment is, you'll still feel drained. You've got to guard your mind just as much as you guard your time. Feed yourself with positive thoughts. Speak life over yourself. You don't need to wait for someone to encourage you. Encourage yourself. Protect your inner world like it's sacred, because it is. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align, you're saying no to something that does. Every time you let someone rob your energy, you delay your purpose. This is real life, not a rehearsal. You don't get to replay these moments. And the truth is, you can't reach your highest potential if your energy is always being drained by things beneath your calling.
You have to start protecting your mornings. Start your day with intention. Don't just grab your phone and scroll into comparison mode. Meditate, pray, visualize, speak affirmations, move your body, feed your spirit, because how you start your day often determines how your energy flows through the rest of it. Set the tone before the world tries to set it for you.
And when people don't understand why you're pulling back, when they question your distance or your boundaries, remember, they don't have to understand it's not their job to understand your journey. It's your job to honor your energy. Let them call you selfish. Let them talk. You're not here to please, you're here to elevate, you're here to grow. And growth requires energy, so protect it, fight for it, prioritize it like your future depends on it. Because it does. You were not created to be a sponge for other people's pain. You were created to be a light, but in order to shine, you gotta stay charged. And staying charged starts with guarding your energy like gold. Because everything is energy. And if you don't protect yours, the world will use it all up and leave you with nothing. Choose wisely, choose powerfully. Choose, you want change in your life. You want transformation. You want to finally break free from the cycle of feeling stuck, of being overlooked, of doubting yourself. Then stop looking outward for solutions and start looking inward. The real shift happens when you do the self-work. That's the foundation of every breakthrough you will ever experience. It's not in the motivational quotes, not in the applause, not in the external achievements. It's in the internal decisions you make every single day to work on yourself. Even when no one's watching, everybody wants to rise, but nobody wants to go deep. Everybody wants success, but very few want to face the truth about who they are and who they need to become. But the reality is this: growth doesn't start with achievement. It starts with accountability. It starts with asking yourself the hard questions. What's holding me back? What beliefs have I been carrying that are limiting me? What habits are stealing my greatness? You cannot heal what you refuse to confront. And you cannot elevate if you won't first excavate the parts of you that are keeping you grounded. Self-work means you stop pointing fingers. You stop blaming the world, your past, your environment, your lack of resources. Instead, you take ownership of your life, your thoughts, your attitude, your actions. That's not easy. It's hard to admit that maybe it wasn't them. It was you. It's hard to face the fact that maybe you sabotaged that opportunity. Maybe you procrastinated on that goal. Maybe you've been running from responsibility, waiting for a miracle instead of being one. But the moment you stop hiding from yourself, you start unlocking your true potential. See, the reason why so many people stay stuck is because they're constantly trying to build a life from the outside in, when the real power comes from building it from the inside out. You can't fix external chaos with an internal mess. You can't create order in your relationships, in your business, or in your goals if you haven't yet created order in your mindset. That's why self-work is the game changer. It shifts the way you think, which shifts the way you act, which eventually shifts your entire reality. And don't get it confused. Self-work isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about catching yourself when your thoughts spiral into negativity and pulling them back into alignment. It's about noticing when you're operating out of fear and choosing to act in faith. It's about developing discipline when your emotions tell you to quit. It's about learning, healing, growing, and repeating that process until your identity begins to match your destiny. Doing the work means facing your pain head on. It means diving into your past, not to dwell on it, but to understand it. Because if you don't understand your patterns, you'll keep repeating them. If you don't heal your wounds, you'll keep bleeding on people who didn't cut you. And the truth is, you can't fake healing. You can't skip the steps. You've got to go through it to grow through it. And here's the truth. When you start doing the work, the world will start responding differently. You'll notice the shift. Same people who used to disrespect you won't even try anymore, because your energy will speak before you do. The same environments that once overwhelmed you won't have the same power, because you'll walk in with clarity and confidence. The same problems that used to break you will become stepping stones, because you've built strength in the struggle. This is not magic. It's not luck. It's self-mastery. It's becoming aware of your energy, your choices, your patterns. It's realizing that the best investment you will ever make is in your personal development. You don't need a new life, you need a new mindset. You need new habits, you need new standards, and you get all of that when you stop waiting to be rescued and start working on being reborn. There will be days when the work feels heavy, when the old version of you fights to come back, when the doubts scream louder than the vision. But those are the days that define you. That's when you dig deeper. That's when you remember who you're becoming. Because the stronger you build your inner world, the more unshakable your outer world becomes. So stop waiting for change to happen. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect coach, the perfect conditions. Start with what you have. Start with where you are. Start with you. Sit with your thoughts. Write your goals. Practice gratitude. Get uncomfortable. Face your truth. Build your discipline. And repeat every single day. You won't always see the results right away, but over time, the work compounds. Your energy shifts. Your decisions change. Your life begins to rise, not because the world changed, but because you did. That's the power of self-work. That's the foundation of every breakthrough. Everything you're searching for is already inside you. But you've got to be willing to do the work to unlock it. Because when you do, you won't just change your life, you'll change your legacy. You're never going to find peace, progress, or purpose if you keep measuring your life by someone else's ruler. Every time you compare yourself to somebody else, you take your eyes off your own lane. You drain your energy trying to keep up with someone who was never meant to be your competition. Comparison is one of the most silent killers of momentum. And yet so many people fall into that trap every single day. You see someone else winning, and instead of letting it inspire you, you let it intimidate you. You start questioning your own path. You start wondering if you're behind, if you're not good enough, if maybe your dream doesn't matter anymore because someone else got there first. But what you don't realize is that comparison is built on incomplete information. You're looking at someone's highlight reel and comparing it to your behind the scenes. You see the finished product, but you don't see the process. You see the victory, but you didn't see the nights they cried themselves to sleep. You see the confidence, but you didn't see the years of self-doubt they had to fight through. You see the success, but you didn't see the sacrifice. So every time you compare, you're playing a losing game because you're basing your worth on a story that isn't yours and a timeline that doesn't apply to you. Your energy is precious, it's your fuel. And if you keep leaking it by focusing on what everybody else is doing, you'll have nothing left to give your own goals. You can't build your dream while staring at someone else's. You can't grow if you're too busy watching someone else's progress. Every second you spend in comparison is a second stolen from your purpose. It doesn't matter if they're ahead of you. It doesn't matter if they have more followers, more money, more recognition. None of that changes what's inside you. None of that takes away from your gift. None of that affects your journey unless you allow it to. Focus is everything. And comparison breaks focus. It creates noise in your head. It creates doubt in your heart. It clouds your vision. You start shifting your goals to look like theirs. You start moving according to what looks successful instead of what's aligned with your purpose. And before you know it, you've built a life that looks good from the outside but feels empty on the inside because it was never really yours to begin with. You have to learn how to stay in your lane, not because other people's lanes don't matter, but because your lane is where your purpose lives. Your lane is where your power grows. Your lane is where your energy multiplies. You weren't called to be them. You weren't created to copy, you were created to become, to evolve into the version of yourself that no one else can duplicate. And the only way you can do that is by turning your focus inward and building from the inside out. Let their success motivate you, not distract you. Let their achievements be proof that greatness is possible, not evidence that you're falling behind. There is no one timeline for success. Some people peak at 20, others peak at 50. This is not a race. It's not about who gets there first. It's about who finishes strong. It's about who can endure the process and stay consistent even when no one's watching. It's about who can stay committed to the vision even when the world is cheering louder for someone else. And here's the truth. Nobody can do what you do the way you do it. You're not just another voice, another person, another dreamer. You are you. And your story, your struggle, your experiences, your pain, your passion, it's unique. It's needed. But if you don't protect it, if you don't nurture it, if you don't believe in it, the world will never get to see it, And that's the danger of comparison. It convinces you that you're not good enough to show up as yourself. So protect your energy by staying rooted in your identity. Stop scrolling for validation. Stop adjusting your light to match someone else's. Stop questioning your value just because someone else is shining right now. This is your life. This is your race. And the moment you fully commit to running it your way, the moment you lock into your own purpose, everything begins to shift. The doubts get quieter. The distractions lose their power. The vision gets clearer. And your energy stops leaking and starts working for you, not against you. You don't need to look over your shoulder. You don't need to compete. You don't need to match anyone else's pace. All you need to do is show up every day and pour your energy into your purpose, your calling, your growth, because that's where the power is. Not in comparison, but in authenticity. And when you start walking in that truth, you won't just protect your energy, you'll elevate it. Everything around you is energy, every thought, every feeling, every word, every action. And just like a magnet, you attract what you are. When you're operating at a low frequency, when you're living in fear, doubt, negativity, and insecurity, you don't attract peace, progress, or power. You attract more fear, more confusion, more stagnation. But when you raise your vibration, when you walk in confidence, discipline, gratitude, and purpose, you begin to attract things that match that frequency. You begin to align with people, opportunities, and outcomes that reflect the strength of your inner world. That's not wishful thinking. That's science. That's energy. That's truth. You can't fake energy. You can't pretend to be at peace when your mind is full of chaos. You can't pretend to be focused when your habits are all over the place. You can say all the right things, post all the right pictures, make all the right moves on the outside, but if your internal energy is negative, the results will reflect that. Life doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to who you are, it responds to what you consistently vibrate. That's why doing the internal work is so powerful. Because when you clean up your energy, you clean up your life. And here's what most people don't understand. Energy doesn't lie. You can walk into a room and feel when something is off. You can meet someone and instantly sense if they're real or fake, warm or cold, aligned or off balance. That's energy. And guess what? People feel the same from you. If you're desperate, that energy is loud. If you're angry, it vibrates in every word you speak. If you're confident, it shows before you open your mouth. You can't hide it. You can only shift it. And if you want to shift your life, you need to raise your energy. So how do you raise your vibration? You become intentional. You become disciplined. You start choosing thoughts that build you, not break you. You start engaging in habits that elevate you, not drain you. You begin protecting your peace like it's your most sacred possession, because it is. You stop entertaining gossip. You stop giving energy to people who trigger your insecurities. You stop feeding your mind garbage. You feed it truth, wisdom, faith, hope. You fill your soul with things that heal, not harm. Raising your energy means practicing gratitude every day, even when life isn't perfect. It means choosing love over fear, purpose over popularity, faith over anxiety. It means walking with your head up even when the world tells you to shrink. Because when you're aligned on the inside, you stop begging for things to change on the outside. You don't chase, you don't force, you attract. You become the kind of person who draws in the life they want because they've already created it internally. People don't realize how much of their struggle comes from the energy they're carrying. They think it's bad luck, they think it's other people, but most of the time it's the unresolved energy inside that's creating cycles of pain, frustration, and disappointment. If your dominant energy is self-doubt, you're going to attract experiences that reinforce it. If your dominant energy is bitterness, you're going to attract people who reflect and amplify that pain. That's not punishment, it's alignment. Life reflects what you project. But here's the good news. You can change your energy at any time. You can shift your frequency. You can clean out the negative patterns and replace them with new ones. You can reset your mind, renew your spirit, and reclaim your power. It starts with awareness. It starts with intention. It starts with deciding that you're no longer going to vibrate on a level that keeps you stuck, broke, drained, or overlooked. You weren't born for mediocrity. You were born to shine. But your shine depends on your charge. And your charge depends on your choices. This is why energy is everything. It's not just about being positive. It's about being powerful. It's about showing up with a presence that commands respect, not through ego, but through alignment. You walk different when you're vibrating high. You speak different. You live different. You don't need validation. You don't need approval. You don't need to chase anyone or prove anything. Your energy becomes your announcement. Your energy becomes your strategy. Your energy becomes your greatest asset. So take responsibility for it. Start every morning with intention. Set the tone before the world sets it for you. Clean your environment, clean your thoughts. Elevate your habits. Speak life into your goals. Cut off the low vibration behavior and protect your peace like a warrior, because your future depends on it. Everything you want, every level you want to reach requires a new frequency, and that frequency starts inside of you. Stop waiting for things to change around you. Change the energy within you. Become the magnet. Align with your vision, and let the universe catch up to the vibration you've already chosen to live in. Everything is energy, so make yours unstoppable. Somewhere along the way, society convinced us that focusing on ourselves is selfish, that putting our growth, our healing, our peace first somehow makes us arrogant or cold. But that's not the truth. That's a lie designed to keep you small, distracted, and dependent. The truth is, focusing on yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. It's necessary. Because if you don't take responsibility for your own life, no one else will. If you don't take the time to build yourself up, nobody's going to do it for you. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't light the way for others if your own fire is burnt out. There comes a moment in your life where you have to stop apologizing for choosing you. You have to stop feeling guilty for saying no. You have to stop explaining why you're unavailable for things that don't feed your soul. Because the life you're trying to build, the dreams you're chasing, the peace you're praying for, requires a version of you that is whole, clear, and focused. You can't become that version while constantly bending, pleasing, and sacrificing yourself for everyone else's comfort. It's not about ignoring people. It's not about walking around with an attitude. It's about understanding that your time, your energy, your attention, they are limited, and they must be invested wisely. If you don't learn how to say no to what doesn't serve you, you'll never have the space to say yes to what does. You'll stay stuck in cycles that drain you, surrounded by noise that drowns your voice, trapped in patterns that pull you further from your potential. And the saddest part is, most people will never realize that they're the reason their life hasn't changed. Not because they weren't capable, but because they were too afraid to focus on themselves unapologetically. Focusing on yourself means taking accountability. It means owning your habits, your healing, your progress, your choices. It means recognizing that you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. It means checking yourself when you're falling into old patterns, calling yourself out when your discipline slips, and committing to being better every single day, not for applause, not for validation, but because your future deserves it. There will be people who don't understand, people who say you've changed, people who try to guilt you into staying the version of you that made them comfortable. Let them talk, let them walk. You don't owe anyone an explanation for putting yourself first. Growth requires isolation sometimes. Transformation demands solitude. There are seasons where you'll have to pull back, go quiet, and build in the dark. Not because you're lost, but because you're focused. And when you're focused on yourself, something powerful begins to happen. You stop needing approval. You stop chasing people. You stop second-guessing your decisions. You start walking in alignment. You start listening to your intuition. You start setting standards that protect your energy and boundaries that protect your peace. You stop trying to fit in and start standing out, not because you're trying to be different, but because you're finally being real. Focusing on yourself also means healing. Not just externally, but deep on the inside. Healing from the past. Healing from self-doubt. Healing from the belief that you have to earn your worth. You start looking at the parts of you that need attention, the pain you've ignored, the emotions you've buried, the dreams you've delayed. And instead of running from them, you start sitting with them. You start understanding them. You start transforming them. You begin to move with intention. You begin to spend your days with clarity. You begin to use your time wisely. You become deliberate about the people you allow around you, the energy you engage with, and the habits you build. Because now you understand you're not just living for the moment, you're building a future. You're protecting your peace, you're creating a legacy. When you take that responsibility seriously, everything starts to shift. You stop chasing quick wins and start chasing deep fulfillment. You stop trying to be everywhere and start being fully present where it matters. You stop wasting your energy proving yourself and start living in a way that speaks for itself. And the best part is, when you do this, when you truly focus on yourself, you don't just change your own life, you become an example, a light, a reminder to others that it's okay to choose growth over comfort, that it's okay to say no, that it's okay to evolve. This world needs more people who are whole, more people who are healed, more people who are unapologetically themselves. That begins with you. That begins with the decision to focus on your healing, your discipline, your journey, your growth. Everything you want is on the other side of that focus. Everything you need is already within you, but you have to claim it. You have to protect it. You have to work for it. Because focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's sacred. It's the beginning of everything. The moment you decide to focus on yourself is the moment your life begins to transform. Not because the world around you changes instantly, but because your inner world begins to shift. Everything you do, everything you feel, everything you attract is deeply rooted in your energy. When you carry peace, you radiate it. When you carry purpose, it becomes visible in your actions. When your mind is calm and your spirit is grounded, the chaos of the world can't shake you like it used to. That's the power of protecting your energy. That's the strength that comes from within when you've taken the time to build it. You have to understand that not everyone is meant to walk with you as you grow. Not everyone will understand why you're pulling away. Not everyone will applaud your silence, your boundaries, or your solitude. That's okay. The journey of self-focus is not for their approval, it's for your alignment. You don't need the world's permission to evolve. You don't need constant company to feel complete. Some of your most powerful breakthroughs will happen in isolation, in the stillness, in the moments where you turn inward and finally face yourself. And facing yourself is not easy. It means owning your flaws. It means admitting where you've fallen short, where you've played small, where you've betrayed your own dreams to stay comfortable or to please others. It's not fun and it's not quick, but it's necessary. Because when you stop blaming and start reflecting, you shift from victim to creator. You stop waiting for things to happen, and you start building the strength to make them happen. That's the kind of power that comes from real focus, the kind that changes not just your mindset, but your entire reality. When you give your energy to everything and everyone, you lose the ability to go deep. You become scattered, you become reactive, you start living in survival mode, just getting through the day instead of building something meaningful. But when you pull your energy back, when you stop overextending, stop chasing, stop explaining, you begin to gather your power, you begin to direct your thoughts intentionally. You begin to conserve your emotional strength for the things that matter. That kind of focus is rare, but it's also the difference between being busy and being effective. The truth is, the world doesn't slow down. The demands keep coming, the noise keeps growing. If you don't choose to focus on yourself, the world will choose for you, and it will choose distraction every time. You'll get pulled into drama that doesn't belong to you. You'll end up carrying the emotional weight of other people's problems. You'll stretch yourself so thin trying to be everything to everyone that you forget who you are to yourself. And that's when resentment sets in. That's when burnout creeps in. That's when you start living a life that feels like a constant compromise, always giving, never receiving, always doing, never becoming. But when you decide that your peace matters, when you decide that your mental health matters, your goals matter, your time matters, everything starts to change. You stop answering calls that drain you. You stop explaining decisions that were made for your well-being. You stop watering relationships that don't grow anything in return. You simplify, you clarify, you elevate. And through that process, you begin to rise. Not because you're chasing anything, but because you've created a space that allows growth to happen naturally. Focusing on yourself also means being honest about what you need. Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's a new routine. Maybe it's time away from certain people. Maybe it's therapy. Maybe it's faith. Whatever it is, stop waiting for permission to give it to yourself. You are not a machine. You are not here just to work, to prove, to please. You are here to live, to evolve, to thrive. And that only happens when you start prioritizing your inner world as much as you prioritize your outer performance. It's not always easy to do. There will be guilt, there will be discomfort. There will be moments where you wonder if you're being too distant, too focused, too self-centered. But those moments are just growing pains. They're the echoes of an old version of you trying to hold on. Let it go. You're not abandoning anyone. You're returning to yourself. You're remembering who you are. You're learning how to show up for yourself first, so you can show up for the world with clarity, strength, and purpose. This is your life, your energy, your journey, and it's too valuable to be spent recklessly. Protect it. Focus it. Honor it. Everything you want, everything you need, everything you are becoming, it all flows from the decision to focus on yourself. Not out of ego, not out of selfishness, but out of deep, sacred, necessary alignment. Because when you focus on yourself, everything around you begins to change. And it all starts with energy.